Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, I'm sure at least some of you thought I'd abandoned Stevo, I'd given up, but in the last video there was a glimmer of hope. We saw the car run in. Well, in today's video we're making mega progress. We're smashing through all the jobs on the car and we're getting the car finished. So make sure you watch the video, drop us a comment down below to let us know what you think, and let's get to the video. Just now fitting the turbo kit. I've probably fit it over a dozen times and taken it out, trying to clock the turbo correctly and the core of the turbo. Then I thought I had it done, so when the lines came it could go straight in, but had to redo it loads and loads of times because I had to take into consideration the oil lines and how they're going to fit, because they were hitting the transfer case and all sorts of things were going on. Anyway, it's now all done, it's all tightened up and it's ready to go in the car. So this is the final install, but just one last look at this turbo before it goes in the car. Nice big precision 64-66, but something I thought was really cool, and I've never noticed it before on a turbo. Look at that down there. Let's see if I can get it for you. Can you see that down there? The little blades, like a little water wheel, I suppose. But that's how the exhaust gases get that turbine moving. I've never seen a turbo where the thing starts so early. I just thought it was the fan, the turbine here. I didn't realise that it actually started all the way up there. Gonna fit this turbo kit now. Excuse me. Got everything we need. My goal for today, just gonna fit the manifold, turbo, downpipe, wastegate, and then start the car and check for oil leaks. If all goes well, I can then connect the downpipe up to the exhaust and we are ready. So very exciting. Let's go. Right now, we're going to get to the good stuff. The car is in a position where it can actually be driven. Now, it's a little bit dangerous because I've actually taken out the driver's seat and I can't get it back in due to the location of the car. So I'm going to try and drive it out and I'm going to refit the seat. That's my priority. And then I've also got to do something to the brake pedal linkage. So we're going to lower down the car and drive it out of the garage. Now it'll be the first time this car has seen daylight in 18 months. Well, what's left of the daylight. So yeah, hopefully it goes well. I'll show you later on in the video what's gone on, but the wastegate's installed, the turbo and the exhaust system's all connected. It sounds like there's a bit of an exhaust leak at the back. It sounds like it could be like a valve tap, but it's not, because it doesn't change with the revs. It actually stops. So it's very reminiscent of an exhaust leak. So one of them V-bands might not be quite clamped on the either the downpipe or the exhaust system under the car, but it's not going to stop us pulling out the car out of the garage. Okay, so it's off axle stands, and wow, look how low the car is. When you see it on axle stands for so long, you sort of get used to it, but yeah, it's like knee height. And also, you get a really nice view for how big that big spoolie PT64-66 is down there. Now, whilst the turbo kit's installed, the reason I have sort of got this weird MAF system going on is because the map is currently for a 3.5 inch MAF pipe. I think it's 3 inch, something like that, and it's considerably larger. So if I was to do that, the car would no longer start and idle anymore. All I have to do is just change the MAF scaling in the map and it'll pretty much be back to normal. but I haven't got around to that yet. So just for now, we're running this funny little math pipe. You can hear there's definitely an exhaust leak on the downpipe or something, but it's like a farty sound. But anyway, it's out of the garage. A lot of condensation now will be burnt off the exhaust. That's been sat there for a very long time. How long has that been since we've seen that then, guys? Too long, that's what I reckon. That was the sketchiest thing ever. There was no brake pedal connected. I was literally squatting, pushing the accelerator with the stick and using the handbrake to slow it down. But it's out now, so I can fit the seat and I can sort out the brake pedal, which I couldn't get to because I'd taken them out one day and I got stuck under the car, in the car, and it was a nightmare to get back out. So anyway, let's just enjoy it. What have I got left to do then? Well, the reason the car's jacked up currently, there was a little tiny weep coming from the sump on the side. It's coming from, I think, the flange. So I've just touched it up with a bit more silicone and I've jacked the car up so that the oil stays away from the silicone. So I'm just waiting for that to go off. In the meantime, I still need to put oil in the transfer case. So I've got CRX LS 75 watt 90 NT plus. This is the oil that I'm going to use in my transfer case. So I still haven't put oil in that. So I want to do that before I drive anymore. What else have I got to do? Well, obviously this can't stay, can it? This can't stay permanently because it's, well, we're not going to get any turbo boost. So I have to install the intake onto the Precision Turbo, and then I have to connect this pipe up to that turbo. So I don't know if I've got everything I need yet just to finish that install, but we'll see what happens there. Once I've done that, I can fit the strut brace and I can fit the front bumper, and then for the first time in 2 years, Stevo can have a nice clean but I cannot wait to get the car out the garage and washed. That'll be a very good thing to do. We need to make sure we've got the right oil. Now you can't just use any old gearbox oil, you've got to use the right stuff, because these transfer cases, they've got clutch packs in and they have certain friction modifiers, and there's all sorts of complicated reasons why you have to use the right oil. Now this is the oil that I'm using. It's what a lot of people in the UK use because this oil's made in Britain. So that's the oil that you want to use. You're going to need a special tool, something like this. You just place it in and then you gently bring up all the gearbox oil like that. Diff oil then. And once it's full, so we're going to put the tube in. And then we're going to pump up the fluid. Right, so I'm going to torque the fill plug to 23 foot-pounds, which is not a lot at all. There we are, not tight at all. Okay, so under the car we got the wideband wire, needs securing, and then we got these wires here which go to the boost gauge sensor and the SST temperature sensor. Obviously these are temporarily installed. I'm going to just neaten this up so it doesn't get ripped off. I will be redoing all this very soon. I've got P-clips and I've got this conduit as well. So I want to redo it all really discreetly and properly so it's done right, and I'll be rushing it if I do it now. So yeah, just for the time being, we're going to get it out of the way. So the diff oil's been topped up and the wires are made safe so they're not going to get ripped off. As I said, I'll be revisiting the wires and doing a proper revamp of that in the near future. But just for now, I think I'm going to give the car a start up so you can see what it sounds like. I'm chasing an exhaust leak. I can't really figure out where it's coming from, if I'm honest. Now, I tightened up the manifold this morning to the specified torque spec, and I definitely heard a little bit of creaking as I was torquing it up, so I think there might have been a bit of movement in the actual manifold to head gasket. And then I've just gone under the car now and I've torqued up the downpipe to exhaust gasket. But the little farty sound of an exhaust leak is still persisting, so I'm hoping there's no leaks on this manifold or this V-band clamp system, because they're quite fiddly to work with. So we'll see what happens, but I'll just put the thing on the camera on a tripod, we'll start it up, and yeah, we'll try and figure out what's going on. I think I've fixed the leak. Now the top end on this engine is always going to be noisy because we're running dual valve springs and very high lift cams. They're about as high lift you can get away with on this engine, so they are always a bit tappy. But yeah, it sounds as it should do on the valve train that we're running. I'm not sure if there's a bit of an exhaust leak though, and it's bugging me. I don't know if I'm imagining it or if it's an actual exhaust leak. I think I'll have to get my mate over with his Evo and compare it. I'm not sure, I couldn't tell you. It's the SST temperature. I fit a sensor where the drain bung would be. The one in the middle is the wideband and the one on the right is a boost gauge, but the one on the right's not plugged into the sensor. At idle, the car will mostly map itself. It's always constantly checking the exhaust and making sure that AFR is about 14, 15. Is it piston slap I'm hearing? I don't know. It sounds like exhaust leak to me. Or is it just vibrating? Because the exhaust, the downpipe's definitely resting on a heat shield. You know what, that could be what it is. It could just be tapping the heat shield. Yeah, it is. Definitely tapping the heat shield. So you have to play with the exhaust. I'm pretty sure there's no exhaust leak. Either one of the heat shields are rattling. That's what it sounds like, because if I put my head right down there, it's definitely not coming from the engine. It's coming from like the exhaust downpipe. So yeah, and if I rev it as well, it doesn't really go with the revs. It's sort of at a certain resonance. So I'm not concerned. I'm pretty sure it's just a heat shield, but I'm gonna have to look into it, because it's a little bit annoying. Although it's not loud, you know, it could be normal. I can't remember what the car sounded like before. It definitely sounds a lot smoother than it did before it blew up. It sounds like it's purring, but you know, maybe I'm just being a bit paranoid. But I need to really look into it a bit more. Another thing, I have taken all the sound deadening out of the engine bay. I've taken all the sound deadening out of the firewall and of all the floor panels in the car. Maybe that's having a bit of an effect. Also, we now got forged pistons and all this valve train is all noisy anyway. So, yeah, maybe it's just that. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'm just imagining it. But we'll see. I mean, if there's something wrong, the car will it'll let me know when it blows up. But I'm not worrying about that right now. I'm feeling positive. But in the meantime, I can fit the front bumper, so that's what I'm going to do now. Way too long since I've had the front of this car on. I've never actually shut this bonnet. Doesn't that look mean? I actually bought the bonnet and it was getting in the way, so I fit it while the car had a blown engine and was on axle stands. So yeah, looks good. Just taking a moment to enjoy the fact the car's actually in one piece, which has not been the case for a very long time. But the work doesn't stop just yet. I've got a lot of parts that still need fitting, but before we get to them, I just want to button down everything that I have done. So I want to get those wheel nuts torqued up. I want to check the tyre pressures, make sure they're where they should be. As you can see, I stripped the interior, so there's a little bit of tidying up to do in the actual car itself. I have got them wires to finish neatening up under the car, and then I want to give it a good wash as well, because it's well overdue a clean. Right then, so I think it's time that we sort out this math pipe situation. So I'm going to just try and fit the permanent boost pipe in now. But if I insert the pipe here into the turbo where it's supposed to go, it runs a little, it's not quite long enough basically. What I'm going to need to do is I need a longer pipe here. Now I have got one here, it's the factory one. So what I can do, I think I'm going to cut that with an angle grinder just to get a nice clean cut on the rubber, and I'm going to use it to connect up the kit. Once it's all then set up, tonight I'll order a silicone pipe that's the right length to match. Okay, so it's a bit of a squeeze. Look at the size of that. You know, you can fit my whole arm through there. So it's a big old intake pipe. Okay, so it's done for now. As I said, going to order that pipe later on. So the strut brace is on, and we're now running 100% off the new turbo kit. So I want to polish those pipes up a bit because they've got a bit of handprints all over them. But yeah, looking really good. So all I got left now to do in this video, I'm just going to torque the wheel nuts up, which haven't been done yet, and then I'm going to check all the tyre pressures, and then it's pretty much ready to be driven. All it needs is a wash, and as I said, it needs, if I want to run a boost controller, I'm going to have to plumb it in. Otherwise it's going to run at about 26 psi, which is what I've set the wastegate springs to in that tile wastegate. So 26 psi, well, it was running 27 on the last turbo, so it's going to shift even at wastegate, especially on this bigger turbo. But yeah, before we go down the route of making power, let's just get everything reliable and buttoned up, and let's just enjoy the fact that the thing even starts and drives, which So yeah, let's just torque up them wheel nuts and then check them tyre pressures. He's finished. I don't believe it. How long has that been? Wheels pumped up, wheels torqued, all the intakes on now, boost pipes, so yeah, ready to drive. Been a very long time coming, but you know, real life happens sometimes, and my van's blown up and my car's blown up, and Stevo sadly got pushed a little bit to the back of the queue. But it's all done now, and I'm feeling over the moon. I just find myself smiling all the time. You know, it's been like 2 years this car's been here, and it's I thought like it would never, it's like a bad smell, it would never get fixed. But it's all done now anyway. Now, don't despair, it's not the end of the Evo videos. If anything, it's just the start, because in the next video I've got to adjust the map to tell the ECU that it's got the bigger MAF pipe on. So if you've got an Evo and you want to fit an intake before you get to the mapper, well, you technically shouldn't be driving your car to the mapper without the map being adjusted. So you don't really want to trailer your car because it's expensive. Well, I'm going to show you how and why it's okay to just adjust your MAF scaling, and it'll make your car safe to drive off boost to the mappers. So that's what's coming up in the next video. Now, to the whole 6 people that watched the last video, thank you for your support. I do appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, share it in the Evo groups, so we can try and get this channel off the ground. But thanks for watching. Stevo's back, and yeah, plenty of content coming. I mean, you know, we want to see what that engine and turbo is capable of, don't we? So who knows? I mean, technically it could hit mega figures, but there's only one way to find out. But yeah, I'm waffling now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, guys.